Welcome to Rich Thoughts, Poor Jokes, the podcast where meaningful conversations about mental wealth meet a healthy dose of humor. Each week, your hosts, Dr. Roxy Riefkohl-Cook and Dr. Stephanie Ellis, two of Houston's most respected doctors of counseling and psychology, coach you on the path to mental wealth. They will not just inspire, but entertain you while empowering you to elevate your life.
Welcome back, listeners and watchers. Today is one of a very special few days where we are going to answer some questions about stuff we've already covered.
Yes. Questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's dig in. All right. So our first series was all about sex and how to have sexual wealth, right?
That's right.
So some follow-up questions that maybe we didn't answer or maybe we could add to. So you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. First question. Can you talk about sex after 60?
Sex after 60.
Yes.
Let's talk about it.
Let's do.
A few minutes ago, before we started filming today, you know how we were talking about the pillows?
Yes.
And how sometimes you just reach an age where it's not about getting a better pillow. It's just the body you have.
Yes.
I think that any talk maybe about sex through the lifespan, but then certainly sex after 60 or sex at older age or whatever, is partly going to be about knowing, like this is what your body does. This is how your body's changing. Let's have a relationship with the body I have instead of just sort of yearning uselessly for the body I had when I was 22.
Absolutely. So what are some of the things that happen to the body after that age? And then let's talk about how that might affect your sex life or even enhance it.
So not being the physician type people,
right?
I guess. But let's just say the things that we hear in the office specific to sex in later adulthood. So for women, I'd say we're mostly talking about menopause. For men, we're mostly talking about erectile dysfunction.
Yes.
Not that those are the only things that could come up, but those are probably the main things. Mm-hmm. So do you want to say anything about either of those?
Yes, I would. So menopause. Yay.
At least people know what it is now. Like, hallelujah, it's 2026, and finally it's an okay word to say.
Completely and totally. And mixed with the fact that in all the books that you'll read or, maybe should be reading or things that you should be learning about menopause, there's a lot more information out there, so which is awesome. So really diving into an understanding of what is happening to your body. And I think there's like 75 things that can happen during that time period.
Oh, or 175,000
right.
things. Sure. Yeah.
Right. So hormones creating certain things that, number one, maybe taking away your sex drive, which I think we'll talk about at some point again, but also just things like dryness and hot flashes and all of these things that would just make you not feel so sexy. Mm-hmm. But guess what? Today, there's a way to make changes and things we can do now that it's out in the open and people are talking about it a lot more, right?
Yeah.
So we would encourage you to talk to your doctor about it. We would encourage you to try some of these other things that could possibly help with some of the symptoms that that aren't so great.
And let me give an example of something that's kind of in our realm. So for example, not that we're saying you should do this, but one of the things that a woman might be doing is using, let's say, an estrogen cream for vaginal dryness.
Right.
Can I encourage you as your mental health professional, do that in the bathroom, not the bed? This is just a way of taking care of your body that's like any other kind of self-care that you might do. And so especially if you're not
like
having
shaving your armpits.
Anytime, if you're not having a good feeling about your body's changes or about what you have to do to take care of this kind of new body that you have, well, don't bring that into the bed. literally do that in a different place.
Yeah. One of the questions too that I get asked is, how much sex are people having after 60? And are people still sexually active? And I think like the numbers are something like between 65 and 80, there's still like almost 50%, 49% or something like that of people are being sexually active.
And listen, you figure that out with your partner and you can tell your friends whatever you want.
That's so true. Very true. Okay.
You
Erectile
really don't.
dysfunction, which by the way, is not just because you're aging. That can happen for other reasons as well. But this is something we do hear about and start hearing about in relation to what's happening with hormones for men as well.
So if you are having erectile dysfunction in the earlier part of your adulthood, it is almost certainly something different. The erectile dysfunction that accompanies aging, especially age 60 plus, typically has the more biological cardiovascular component. We're just not getting a high enough blood pressure, with enough vasodilation to get strong erection and maintain a strong erection. And so I think maybe we talked about this before. I mean, there's sort of like little ways to test this at home, like the stamp test. Did we talk about that? We talked about the series?
I don't think so.
Series. So you get like a roll of stamps. Can you get a roll of stamps still?
Oh,
you
yeah,
can.
We did. We did talk about that.
So you can get a roll of stamps and you put it around there before you go to bed, right? And if the stamps are off in the morning, it means you probably are having an erection during the night.
Right.
If you're having erections during the night, but not during the day when you're wanting to have them, then you need one of us. You need a mental health kind of person to talk you through some of that stuff. If you aren't having erections during the night, then almost certainly you're having a physiological problem and you need your physician to help you with that.
Correct. Okay. Can we end this question possibly on maybe a positive, like sex after 60, the good things in relation to that?
Yeah, well, I'd say one important thing is like figure out why you're having it, because you're a lot more likely to like it if you're doing it because you want to.
Right.
And now you don't quote unquote have to anymore. Right? There would be reasonable reasons not to have a super high sex drive just because the body's not in reproductive time right now, which means now it just gets to be something you enjoy doing.
Yes.
So do it when you want to, in the way that you want to, without being maybe like so results oriented. Oh my gosh. Maybe do it for like intimacy or something.
And that's what I was going to say too. And by this point in your life, hopefully in your relationship, I mean, you know yourself, you know your body, you know what you like. Hopefully, you should. And then also,
well, we said you should, but if you don't, there's no time too late to start finding that out.
That is so true. Never too late. But also just like the emotional, mental connection, not just knowing yourself better, but maybe your partner better and feeling that emotional connection. Positive as well.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Moving on.
Okay. A question that we get a lot is, why do I have low sexual desire?
Yes.
And that is too big of a question for like a 5-minute Q&A.
It is.
But let's see what we can do on it. A couple of caveats. First of all, maybe you don't have low sexual desire. Maybe the amount of sexual desire that you have is totally normal and you're judging yourself against some kind of standard that is not cool.
Very true. Mixed with the fact that we need to look at, is it physical or is it emotional, mental, right? Because you can, though, have physical, we just talked about, low sexual drive based on things that are happening with your body.
Or antidepressants you might be taking.
That's a good plug. Mixed with really assessing and finding out and doing some reflection to see, or is this an emotional, mental thing? Is this about me, how I'm feeling about myself? Is this how I'm feeling about my partner? All of those things.
And if you're not sure, I guess maybe there's something to be said for a little experiment. If you, on a day when you don't have a lot of stressors, think, what would it be like if I had some solo sexual activity today? Would I be into it or not?
Mm-hmm.
Versus my partner is here. Would I be into having a partner sexual situation right now? I mean, that might give you a little bit of an idea. If you're having orgasm difficulty when you're alone, that's a little bit different than having orgasm difficulty with a partner just because it's so much more complicated.
Sure.
Some people like having sex alone and then don't like having it with their partners for one reason or another. Some people like having it with their partners and not having it alone because it's just not that interesting to them. All of those are probably okay things. The degree that it bothers you is the degree it bothers you.
Yes. And when we speak about mental, emotional well-being and how that can affect your sex drive, we're not just speaking about how you feel about your partner. You need to self-assess also. And we talked in the series about this, about your own, doing a check-in with yourself. Like, are you stressed out? Why are you smiling and laughing at me?
Because in my mind, I was wondering how, like, many questions we would get through before you said, make a self-assessment.
Oh.
And two, friends.
It only took 2.
It was 2. Yes.
That's it. There'll be some other things that I will repeat as well. But yes, in relation to where is my life right now? Am I completely stressed out? Am I completely overwhelmed? Then some specific life-changing events. By the way, this is for men, not just women. When there is a new baby, yes, that is going to affect sexual desire and drive for women in all kinds of ways. But it does for men as well. So there's an example.
Sometimes they don't notice because sometimes they get put on that 6-week no sex at all kind of thing.
Right.
And then that feels long.
It's true. It's totally true.
Okay, I want to talk too about, I know we talked about this sometime during the sex talks, which is that difference, that thing about wanting. When I want sex, what am I wanting, right? And how there's a part of wanting that is something that's more like craving or pursuing. So when people say sex drive, I think they're usually thinking about that. And so that's just something that your body is telling you, I'd better move toward and get this thing no matter what.
Yes.
Right? And so sometimes that is Oreos and sometimes it is orgasms and sometimes it's something that your body will try to pursue kind of despite what the rest of you is saying.
Yeah.
There's the enjoying part, which is it's liking, am I here in the present moment? Am I enjoying the sex that I'm having? And then there's valuing. Do I want to be having sex with this person in this way, for this time, for this reason? And you might have one of those, all 3 of those. They might come to you in different combination. And even if you are having physical issues around the why isn't my body trying to pursue this as much as it used to? Oh, that's something else. If you have, in the absence of a major life transition, a sharp drop in sexual desire compared to what is normal for you, that is something to look at too.
So are you saying to self-assess?
Wait, what? Self-awareness, self-reflection, self-assessment.
Okay.
So what kind of low desire are you having? Are you having less in that body cravey sort of way? Are you having less in the way of enjoying it? Are you having it less in the way of valuing it? Or some combination of those?
Excellent. Okay. So next question. You ready?
Sure.
Is I'm actually too busy for sex. So now what?
Actually too busy.
Mm-hmm.
Actually too busy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is that a thing?
Well, I think I hear that. So it's got to be somebody's experience at least, right? I know you've heard that too.
Absolutely.
Okay. So first things first, what kind of sex are you too busy for?
Right.
Everybody's too busy for sex they don't enjoy.
True.
And then specifics, right? Are you too busy for a 5-hour sexcapade? A lot of people are actually too busy for that.
Yes.
If you are in a relationship with a person who you like, and having sex that you enjoy, and you can do all of that in 20 minutes, and you're actually too busy, I think
We need to make some life changes.
well, we're in a values hierarchy
Right.
place. And so it might be about moving sex up the values hierarchy,
Okay.
or it might be about accepting where sex is on your values hierarchy.
Yeah. Yes. And when you were talking, I was also thinking about, and I don't know if we said this in the first series, but I think there's a misconception too. And I think if we're not viewing or how we're viewing sex, right? So if we think it's always supposed to just be easy and fun and, but we've got that in our brain, that can be problematic as well, right? Because can it be easy and fun? You bet. But can it also be something we need to schedule or possibly move up on our values hierarchy?
Put some effort into
That. So, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So something that piqued some interest when we mentioned it when we were having sex talks was this idea of buyer's remorse. Like, does my partner have buyer's remorse with me? Do we get into a relationship and now I'm not the person that they thought I was? And listen, there's a lot of ways that could be true. And right now I'm thinking just in the sex realm, this happens very commonly because in the beginning of a relationship, that craving pursuit kind of thing is often elevated for both parties. Even if that's not kind of their natural baseline level of craving kind of libido sort of thing. And so sometimes that happens. You get into the relationship, a couple of years have gone by, and then one of you sort of goes back to baseline and the other one is like, what happened? Did I get tricked here?
Right. Do you know what's I have to go back because do you know when I first read this question, my brain went into a different direction.
Oh.
I was thinking, which I think both are relevant, but yes, buyer's remorse as in, oh my goodness, this is the person that I've chosen. Oh boy. And then the other side of
I like how you managed not to say I'm stuck with. I could feel it. I could almost hear it, and you didn't do it. You're so disciplined.
It was so in my brain.
sometimes.
It was so in my brain. Okay, but the other side of this that where my brain went first was I have buyer's remorse, as in I didn't, shouldn't, or wish that I would not have had sex with that person.
Oh.
That's where my brain went.
Oh, okay. Should we answer it both ways?
Yes.
Then, okay.
Yes. So in relation to that going back to the shame, guilt, that type of thing that we've talked about in lots of series. But this idea that, oh, wow, I really didn't want to do that. I did consent. I said, yes, I did it. I, thought I was going to want to do this. And now I regret it.
And why do you regret it? If it is a guilt, shame kind of thing, that's different than I had sex with this person and it wasn't very good.
Right.
Well, listen, that one, and it wasn't very good, or to say that's really workable.
Yes.
I mean, sex in a relationship is meant to be like a fun adventure of exploring and growing and skills building.
Absolutely.
And all that kind of
stuff. And we
stuff.
talked about how the first time is not supposed to be like what you see in the movies.
How could it be?
Right. That.
But then the guilt and shame piece, what do we do with that?
Ooh. Yeah, that's, I don't want to use the word dig in and reflect and assess, but I'm going to.
Okay.
And by that, I mean, you really have to try to figure out where it's coming from, right? So is this, a spiritual thing? Is this again, I wish I really like, maybe the opposite. I really like this person and I feel like they're going to think I'm you know what? I should have waited at least three dates or whatever, right? And now I may have messed this up kind of thing. I mean, it could be all kinds of things, but I think you've got to dig in. And if that is something that, again, continuously happens, you might need to talk to someone and see,
Yeah. In the therapy way, it brings up for me like the voice that tells you shouldn't have. Is it yours? And if it's yours, then you shouldn't have, and let's deal with that and deal with it with yourself and deal with it with this partner and see where that's going to go from there.
Right.
But it might not be yours. It might be sort of like the
Your
critical
mom's.
harpy who lives upstairs in your brain attic, or it might be your mom or something in the culture or something like that that isn't really serving you, that isn't part of your value system anymore. So those are some things.
Okay, so let's say you have sexual regret. Let's go back to, this is not my person. And I have dated them and I've had sex with them now for months and months. And whoa.
You literally just said, I know this is not my person. You need to go ahead and break up.
Okay, that's easy. Break up. Break up.
In that specific instance, I feel like that one was pretty clear.
Okay, for sure. Okay, is there anything else to do though? What about if you are married and you've already had your first baby?
Therapy.
Yes. Yeah. You may need some help, right? Because the reality is, because we said this could really just be, it's not the person. Maybe it is the act, or maybe there's things like, that we tried to kind of guide you guys in the first series, but maybe it really is that we just need some help and, and some teaching of how to do better, be better. And that could be not just in the bedroom, but just relational stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I come back to the other kind of buyer's remorse?
Yes,
real quick?
of
Because I
course.
don't think that I'm not sure if I captured that one. But if you have gotten now sort of long-term into a relationship and realized that your level of desire, native desire, and your partner's sort of native level of desire are different, you just have to work on it, right? You can change, they can change, you both can change. You can neither of you change, but you will settle into that. And then it does need to be dealt with one way or another. So if you want to stay together,
Yes.
right? And then,
or if you don't, I don't know if I should say this, but it happens. Go out and look for something else better while you're still in the relationship. Oh, that just opened a whole can of worms, but that's a whole different podcast.
that's a different podcast. We'll get back to you on that one.
Infidelity. We're not, yeah.
Okay,
moving on.
Yeah.
I'm looking to buy my first sex toy. Where do I start?
Where do you start?
Oh, I will tell you.
Tell
You
our
ready?
listeners.
I will tell the listeners. Wait, let me see how I say. Okay, function. I'm going to come back and explain. Okay, function, look and feel, and cost. Cost is third for me.
Consider how you might have a different values hierarchy. That's okay. You could do you.
Okay. So I say, first of all, do a little research, but you need to know what it is you're looking for. Like function. What is it that I'm trying to receive or get extra from this device? Look and feel, all preferences, right? Even to the extent of, is it pink or purple?
Waterproof, not waterproof.
Right. And then cost. And by the way, listeners, if you have not bought a toy in a long time or been in a sex shop,
Inflation happened there too.
hugely. So, and back to the look and feel piece, not just colors. I'm talking about like, do you want it to look more real? Do you not? Do you, that type of thing. So those are kind of just ways to break it down. But I think you just have to do some research yourself. But you do need, maybe ask yourself those questions to know where to start before you just barrel into a sex shop, or like most people do today, I would think shop
Just
online. Yeah.
Or also, how about this? Because this question is a person asking, I want to buy my first one. So also let me say, you could buy a fourth one.
Oh, yeah.
You might not know. You might be able to do, all the sort of self-reflection you can, but you might just not know because you haven't had one before. So if you get one and you don't love it, that doesn't mean that it's not for you. It might just mean you want to try something else.
That's so brilliant.
Okay, can I say two other things?
Please.
You're going to laugh at me. Okay. Consider if
Poor
maybe
jokes.
if you
Rich thoughts, poor jokes.
if you are partnered, consider that possibly your first and best sex toy is your partner.
Ah, I like that. I like that so much.
If I could get a sound of a halo, what
Yes.
sound does a halo make? Never mind. Everybody just imagine it. But also, if you're in a relationship, this is something that in some relationships, you also might want your partner to know about.
Yes.
Your partner's level of comfort, that kind of thing, right? And so keep that in mind if you've got a partner. And the other thing is, and this is very, very specific, the kind of stimulation that sex toys give, especially for clitorises, is pretty intense. It's what is called sort of like supraphysiological. So, for example, like there's an amount of dopamine that you can get from eating a strawberry, and there's a kind of amount of dopamine you can get from using cocaine. And if you use a lot of cocaine, eventually you will not get very much dopamine from eating a strawberry. So when you use sex toys where the clitoral stimulation is cocaine level high, just know that your body can habituate to that. And so I would say even if or while you do that, like don't give up on having orgasms without your toys. Because if you do, you might actually find that to be really difficult in the future. I'm just going to throw this in here, and I know this is a false dichotomy, but sort of more like for men. I would say that about porn too. And I think maybe there's a possibility we're going to talk about porn later in
there is a question about porn
in the episode, but also to say the more you let that be the only thing that gets you all the way, the more you reduce your options in real life. So that's all.
Super important point. Also, if this really is your first sex toy and maybe you haven't even had your first sexual experience, and or you have and it's not going as well as you had hoped, even physically, right? Let's just say, we do encourage people to talk to their doctors about this kind of thing, but we talk about dilators and things like that. And there are toys out there that can not only just prepare you, but maybe enhance things so that it's not just about penetration. I think people have this false idea, or there's a myth about that a sex toy is only a penis for penetration. And that's not the case.
Definitely not.
Okay.
And lots of different kinds of conditions that might make you want that kind of thing. So vaginismus is one, but any kind of pelvic pain, pelvic surgery of any kind, and the sort of quote unquote rehab from that might just mean that you want to take that slowly for yourself. And there are options for that too.
Definitely. Okay, next question.
Okay, I'm nervous to ask my partner for more oral sex, or they won't do it at all. How do I communicate that?
Okay. Well, you've said this over and over again, and I love when you say, be curious.
You like to say self-reflect.
Yes.
And I like to say, be curious.
You do. But it's really important, and especially here. Okay. So the idea would be so that there's not any shaming or trying not to go down that road, and you're trying to validate what your partner is wanting and looking for. And we've encouraged lots of communication so that you can figure out what is your sexual wealth, what is your sex life going to look like where it's great for both, right? So yeah, be curious, ask questions in relation to satisfaction, specifics, how often, any question that you can ask that would to help you understand.
Well, yeah, understand whatever their reluctance is about it. And so curious rather than critical, right?
Yes.
I mean, nobody's going to want to, well, just nobody's just going to want to have that conversation at all if you're coming at it like, hey, what's wrong with you that you don't want to do this? Or even what's wrong with me that you don't want to do this? Like nobody wants to have that conversation.
For sure.
But once you know, if you're able to have that conversation and say, well, what's this like for you? Or sort of what's easy, what's hard, what do you like, what do you not like about it, that kind of thing. Then we can start to do some workarounds.
Absolutely. And even if your person can't come up with those questions to ask you, share those things. Say why you want it, what kind of satisfaction it brings for you. And that is hopefully what we're trying to do here is not just, we don't want to be all people pleaser, but we also, we're trying to please a partner if we're with a partner as well.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And then once you have that conversation, the other thing that I hear often is, well, then they're going to want it all the time or more or this or that. No, that's more conversation. Find middle ground of what this looks like. And I've also heard, I give it, I do it, but they won't. That's a conversation to be had. Next question. I'm thinking about going to the next level with my partner. How do I know if it's safe?
Safe like what?
Safe like,
Are they
good
serial
question. You're right. Right.
Do I
No,
want
that's fair.
them to have my address? That could mean so many things.
You're so right. Because when you just said it that way, I was thinking like, are they going to be gentle enough? Or, should I be fearful in some sort of way? But
do they have an STD? How do I ask that? Are they going to break my heart? How do I ask that?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Let's do the STD part. If you're not using, I guess if I'm reading this question correctly, we're saying we're moving away from contraception and we're going to now
Have a baby?
have a baby, or maybe just have sex. We're in a relationship and we're going to make it exclusive. And so now we're just going to,
or like no condoms,
right,
or something,
right?
Or just
we've moved to birth control, a different birth control. Here's my answer: go get a panel. I mean, that's my answer.
Yeah,
for real understanding and safety and all of that kind of thing, to know where your partner stands. If that's where you're moving, I say, go get a panel. By the way, testing nowadays, people say, well, I'm not doing that because it's too embarrassing and I don't want to go tell my doctor. You can do it without having a doctor visit.
Yeah. And there are a lot of things I don't like about 2026. But one of the things I do like is that most people will not be freaked out by the question, what's your sexual health history? Or by request, like, hey, I really like you. I would love to be naked with you. Let's go get tested for our next date. And then next time we're together, we'll talk about it. That's it. We're getting into a world now where that is more and more okay.
Agreed. Okay.
I like it. Okay, well, here's a question that's kind of it's almost the opposite of that.
Okay.
It's really not fashionable to wait for marriage to start having sex. But that's what I learned growing up. Do I need to do it to be able to get someone to be with me?
No. I'm answering that right out of the gate. No. And we did talk in the other series that there was almost this encouragement of, if you are looking for something deeper, a connection, a relationship, whatever that might be, then waiting is not a bad thing.
And believe it or not, like, there really are other people out there who are doing the same thing. In fact, I would venture to say that for a large portion, let's say of Americans, at least, there would be more reluctance, I think, on a lot of people's part to say, I'm waiting, than to say, let's do it. And maybe that's a relatively new phenomenon, but there are people out there who would be so glad for you to be the one who said, let's wait.
You bet. Can you talk also really quick for a minute about what happens I think we talked about this in the series, but going back to if you really are trying to find out about, do you have a connection? I want to know more about this person, their character, all of those types of things. Why might waiting be a smart thing to do?
Because sex makes you a little high, and sometimes, especially if the sex is really orgasmic, confuses your brain about the actual level of trustworthiness about the person you are having sex with. So it really actually can muddle things neurologically when the sex is too early in a relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe one final little comment there. Again, if you're looking for this commitment and you want to know if someone would be committed to you and they respect you on that level, then they would wait. Okay.
Oh, and you know what? And I don't want this to sound like you can't have an excellent, wonderful, deep, adventurous relationship with a partner if you or they have had other sexual partners. But there is something sort of cool and magical about entering into a relationship, even if you have waited for marriage, whether that is sort of culturally taboo these days or not fashionable, however that was said. There's a kind of magic in being like explorers setting out on this journey together that you just now get to have for the rest of your lives.
Ooh, I like that so much.
I know.
That was beautiful. Okay, my husband's attitude and treatment of me changes when I say no to sex. Any help?
I assume this question means it changes and the husband is not nice now.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. I'm going to say something provocative.
Okay.
Are you surprised?
No.
I think the thing that we're supposed to say right now is screw him. And not in the fun way. Like, he can't treat you like that. Like, he's a jerk face.
You deserve so much better.
And I'm not even saying that that's not true.
Right.
Maybe he is a jerk face. At the same time, I think that we don't do a good job all the time of knowing what sex means, especially for men. And again, this is a bit of a generalization, as it always is when we do a gender thing. But there really is, for a large proportion of men, sex is the primary way that they feel safe.
That's so true.
It is the primary way that they feel loved. It can sort of function as like an emotional reset for them. And so they might not be being a jerk to you, like just because they're being petulant or malicious or selfish, right? They might actually be having a need for connection with you that's not being met.
Yes. And to look at the opposite sides of that, I mean, there really, truly is, and I know you hear this in your office, but there's a true feeling of unloved, rejection, that type of thing when they're told no a lot. Now, on the other side of that, we do need to look at, is this something related to your person that is maybe from earlier on, something, where there was a lot of rejection. There's some things that need to be explored related to their own self-worth and that kind of thing that's creating a feeling of, I can't be without it. That needs to be addressed.
And it's possible he's a jerk.
Right.
I'm not dismissing that possibility.
Definitely. I queefed in the bedroom, and it was very embarrassing. And I don't know how to recover from that. Should I say something?
To whom?
To my partner. I'm guessing. To my partner.
Oh. I assume they noticed. I hope you guys giggled.
Yes.
A playful bedroom is the best bedroom.
Yes.
And if people are not allowed to fart and stuff in there, it's going to be a long relationship.
Oh, for real. I mean, we've talked about how this is your most vulnerable state, right? So your most vulnerable state is going to include things that could be embarrassing. And finding a way to, now, you can feel a certain way about it, but then communicate about that. Because if that keeps you from having sex because you farted, problematic.
I kind of want to go on a little tangent about embarrassment and what it is and how it works. So let me see if I can do it in a reasonable amount of time.
Okay.
Are you embarrassed if you fart or queef like when you're alone? Like, do you already have sort of shame about natural body functions? Because if you do, like, that's something to work on.
Yes.
Straight away. Embarrassment it's a social emotion. You have to, it comes from the belief that other people are judging you negatively.
Yes.
And so if you are not, so it might be you might be judging you negatively. If it might be your partner. If your partner is judging you negatively, that sucks. And maybe you guys work on that because in theory, this person is sort of inside what we might call your ego boundary. If you feel like we're an us, like we're a we, then embarrassment a lot of times sort of goes out the window. It might be internalized others, right? People who are not in the bedroom actually did not hear you and they do not care.
Right.
But if you're carrying them around in your head, right, can we get them out of your bedroom too?
Beautifully stated. I love it.
All right, let's hit this one. I've heard this more times than men will be comfortable with who are listening.
Yes.
I've been faking my orgasms for years and I want to stop, but it will crush my partner. What do I do?
Yes. Okay. So first step is reminding yourself, we shared this with you earlier, orgasms are not as common as we think. So this idea that you
not
have
the definition of like quote unquote successful sexual experience.
Correct. So I think that's a first starting point is reminding yourself of that.
And maybe reminding your partner. If it would crush your partner, then you must be thinking my partner has some kind of stake in whether I'm having an orgasm or not, which good. Okay, that's nice. Like your partner, that's a way of caring about you.
Bet.
But it's maybe a little too restrictive of a way.
You bet. And also dig in and find out where did this idea come from? Where did I get it? I mean, because again, if you have been a porn watcher, then that is maybe what you're thinking. It has to be that way.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I think about when in relation to this is, and I've heard from clients, is I don't want to disappoint my person. Like if I don't show that I've reached the ultimate climax, then they may feel bad.
So those are some conversations to have. If you absolutely cannot bring yourself to have a conversation about this, and that distresses me, but that client also always says that their partner would never come into therapy with them. So then they feel a little stuck. And so if you're going to try to change the status quo without having a conversation about it, I would say my best advice is do that slowly over time, emphasizing. So if you're going to keep faking it for a while, begin to fake it only when you're pretty close. Only when you really are doing a thing that feels very good. Because we don't want to train either of you out of all the things that do feel good.
Right.
Right. And you can sort of slowly do that until the situation hopefully kind of changes on its own. It is possible maybe to avoid the conversation if you really, really just cannot bring yourself to have it in that way.
Ooh, and I'm exhausted just thinking about that because I'm thinking, does that something you have to do every time then?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Have the conversation.
I agree.
Is porn really a problem? How big of a problem?
By and large, it's a problem.
It is.
It's maybe not a problem every single kind of porn, every single situation. Matters a lot. So the research seems to indicate that couples who watch porn together do a lot better than people who are in a couple who watch it separately.
Okay.
By a lot.
Say more, please.
Well, so using that as sort of like one of the things that we do to sort of like be part of our fun, sexy evening or whatever, that can sometimes go okay. Especially, so if we're not doing our orgasms while the porn is on, right? If we're still with our partners in real life, like that does a lot. One of the biggest problems about porn use when we're alone is we don't have our partners with us, and it's unrealistic, right? So when we have our partners with us, it seems like maybe there's a little bit of a safety held against training our brains that this is how sex should be, because we're also having real sex, right?
Right.
But it's pretty rare, and it's kind of rare to be able to do that with a partner, for you guys to like the same things, for it to not feel weird to anybody. So I don't want to say it's like 100% always definitely horrible.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go the other route.
Yeah, because I'm just describing sort of like the less than a 1% time.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. In this idea that it can negatively affect your relationship. Again, if you're not doing it in that manner where it's together, mixed with it's habit forming, or certainly can be. That's research-based. Take a look. People really become, in my mind, sexually illiterate when they watch porn a lot of times, especially if they start it early on and at a young age.
I love the word illiterate because it implies, because it brings a metaphor for me that the person in real life that you're having sex with probably doesn't speak that language, because that language is gibberish. That language is all lights and editing and fake stuff.
Right.
Right. So it's not even a real sexual language.
Right.
What a fun word to use. Thank you.
For sure. And not in the fun way, but also there's another piece that has been expressed to me in my office before that has to do with, is this what it's supposed to look like? Is it always this aggressive? Is it abusive in this manner? And for people that are new on the scene and not educated and not as comfortable having open dialogue and asking questions about that, they can plant some of those things in your head.
Also, the porn industry is real janky. If you are going to use porn, you can look for ethically sourced porn where people like get paid and get tested and they all want to be there and they're, all over age and stuff. But the whole landscape is not, and it's a business. And they want to get you into more and more stuff that you can't have in real life, because then you'll keep coming back to them instead of being satisfied with your partner. So just, I don't know, think about that too.
Right.
Oh, I'm going to say one more tiny thing. It's sort of a tangent about this, but I just read this that so the culture of young people now does not have very much nudity in it, like real people nudity. So when we were growing up, right, locker rooms, dance classes, swimming pools, sleepover with my friends. Like casual nudity was sort of normal, especially same-sex nudity was pretty normal. And that these days, like a person who is in high school now is quite likely for the first naked person they ever see to be their sexual partner. Oh, wow. Except that they're almost all really likely to be exposed to porn first. So the first and only naked people they see for a long time now are naked porn stars who are not normal people.
No.
And then
without
they have to
back fat.
And they have to bring this body, like this body with its back fat, to a sexual situation with another human person. And then that human person is going to be a letdown because you don't have glamour lights on when you're doing it, you know? So I don't know. That's a whole new ball game we got to start getting ready for. It is.
And look, porn's it's a big topic. I'll say this also, this last thing. It very much also research-based, can be tied to some other mental health things that can come up, and not positive when it's used and utilized as an escape, because it very much can be.
Yep. For
not dealing with feelings.
Okay, so that's all the questions we're going to do for today. I know there are so many more questions out there. We invite you to keep sending them in. We will get to them. richthoughtspoorjokes@gmail.com.
Our next set of questions are going to be answering questions about communication.
Thank you for tuning in to Rich Thoughts, Poor Jokes. We hope today's episode offered insight or possibility, a new perspective on your mental wealth journey. Tune in next week for more strategies to drive success. Please consider subscribing or sharing this episode with someone else, because your mental wealth matters, and a few rich thoughts and poor jokes can help you live with abundance.